title. What FedEx Express knows about turning speed into simple business magic. Imagine a parcel placed on a conveyor in Lagos at dusk and arriving in London before breakfast the next day. No drama, no mysteries, just a quiet, reliable promise kept. That invisible choreography, planning, timing, redundancy, responsibility, is where FedEx Express made its name. If you are starting from almost nothing, unemployed, underemployed, or living on Social Security, you can borrow the same set of ideas to build products and services people depend on. This training story begins there. Part 1, Introduction and Foundations, Purpose and Audience. This training story is written for entrepreneurs just getting started, people who are unemployed or underemployed and want to create extra income, individuals on Social Security seeking practical, low-risk ways to ideate products or services. We'll use FedEx Express as a living example. Not so you can become an international logistics giant overnight, but so you can borrow the thinking behind its success, making a clear, dependable promise and designing systems to keep it, building on time and process rather than only on flash, turning complex operations into straightforward customer value, iterating and scaling without breaking trust. What FedEx Express is the global overnight and time-definite air and ground parcel delivery service that launched the idea of dependable, fast delivery at scale. It coordinates aircraft, trucks, hubs, sorting systems, tracking technologies, and human teams to move packages quickly between cities and countries. Its distinguishing features include time-definite guarantees, hub-and-spoke sorting, end-to-end tracking visibility, and operational discipline that converts schedules into delivered packages. Why FedEx Express matters for idea generation? FedEx Express matters because it demonstrates how systems thinking, clear promises, and operational excellence create value customers are willing to pay for. For people ideating new products or services, the company offers transferable lessons. A clear, simple promise is easier to sell and easier to deliver reliably. Invisible systems, scheduling, routing, redundancy can be the main source of competitive advantage. Incremental improvements and disciplined operations often outcompete flashy features. Designing around critical constraints makes solutions robust and affordable. How FedEx Express compares with other companies. To sharpen lessons, compare FedEx Express with a few different players versus traditional post services. And national postal services often offer broad coverage at low cost, but prioritize universality over speed and predictability. FedEx Express targeted a different problem. Time-definite business deliveries. A lesson. Find a specific job to do better, rather than trying to be everything for everyone. Versus same-day local couriers. Local couriers emphasize hyperlocal speed and flexibility. FedEx Express trades local immediacy for predictable cross-city and cross-border speed. The lesson. Pick the right scope to match your promise. Local agility or wide area predictability and design systems accordingly. Versus digital platforms that promise convenience. Some modern services focus on slick apps and user interfaces, but outsource the operational core. FedEx Express invested heavily in operations and then used technology to make that capability visible, tracking alerts. The lesson. Make the core capability real first, then layer user-facing technology that helps customers feel the advantage. The 8 idea generation principles inspired by FedEx Express. We will extract 8 principles you can apply to ideation. In this first part, we will cover the first 3 in depth. Later parts will cover the remaining 5. Principles, listing all 8 here so you know the arc. Principle 1. Make a single, time-definite promise and design everything to keep it. Principle 2. Build reliability with simple, visible cues. Make the invisible feel real. Principle 3. Optimize for flow, not individual tasks. Reduce handoffs and delays. Principle 4. Design redundancy into your system to survive surprises. Principle 5. Turn operational complexity into modular, learnable processes. Principle 6. Use data to close the feedback loop. Measure the few things that matter. Principle 7. Price for predictability and value, not only for cost. Principle 8. Evolve the offer in ways that preserve existing customers' investments. In this first part, we will explore Principle 1, Principle 2, and Principle 3. Each principle includes a clear explanation, 3 common mistakes companies make, and practical lessons you can apply immediately. Principle 1. Make a single, time-definite promise and design everything to keep it. Explanation. FedEx Express built its brand around simple promises. Get this package from point A to point B by this time. If the promise is narrow and measurable. When customers ask, will it arrive by tomorrow morning? The answer is a straightforward yes or no, backed by logistics. For idea generation, a clear promise simplifies product design, marketing, and operations. It limits scope so you can focus scarce resources on the job that matters most. Why this matters for small-scale entrepreneurs. If you are starting with limited capital and capacity, trying to do too many things at once dilutes quality. A timed, definite promise forces you to prioritize processes that directly affect the outcome you sell. It reduces customer confusion and creates repeatable rituals that your team can learn to execute well. 3 common mistakes companies make. Mistake 1. Promising everything to everyone. Many founders respond to fear of missing sales by promising many benefits, low price, extreme customization, instant availability, and high quality all at once. This leads to inconsistent delivery and disappointed customers. Mistake 2. Making fuzzy promises. Phrases like fast delivery or excellent service are ambiguous. Customers interpret them differently. Without a measurable promise, you cannot design and check the processes that ensure success. Mistake 3. Designing products that assume perfect conditions. Companies often design around ideal scenarios, empty streets, cooperative suppliers, no bad weather. When reality diverges, the promise breaks. FedEx built processes that work under likely disruptions. Lessons learned and practical steps. Lesson 1. State one concrete promise in one sentence. Write a single sentence that defines the essential job your product performs and when it will do it. For example, we deliver printed invoices to local businesses within 2 business days. We return repaired devices within 72 hours of arrival. Lesson 2. Map the chain of events that must succeed to keep the promise. Write down every step from order to delivery. Identify which steps are most fragile. These are the places to invest time and attention. Lesson 3. Design simple checks and fallbacks. Create go-no-go checks at critical handoffs. If a step fails, have a pre-planned fallback and communicate it immediately to customers. How to apply Principle 1 with almost no capital. Start with a micro-promise you can execute consistently. Use walkable, geography, or trusted partners to control the last mile. Trade scale for reliability. Serve fewer customers well and grow by word of mouth. Principle 2. Build reliability with simple, visible cues. Make the invisible feel real. Explanation: FedEx Express turned operational reliability into trust through visible signals, tracking numbers, scheduled pickup windows, confirmation emails, and clearly labeled packages. These cues make complex logistics legible to customers. When people can see progress markers, they feel in control even if the actual sorting and routing remain invisible. Why this matters for small ventures. Small teams cannot replicate FedEx as global fleet, but they can adopt the same psychology. People reward transparency and predictable rituals. Visible cues reduce anxiety, lower support costs, and increase perceived value. 3 common mistakes companies make. Mistake 1. Overcomplicating the signal. Some businesses produce dashboards or reports that are too detailed or technical. Customers do not read them and may be confused, which undermines trust. Mistake 2. Under-communicating status. Others provide no status at all and wait for customers to ask. Silence breeds uncertainty and escalates support costs. Mistake 3. Using signals that do not match reality. A company might present optimistic status updates that do not reflect actual progress. When customers discover the gap, trust collapses. Lessons learned and practical steps. Lesson 1. Choose a handful of simple status signals. Pick 2 or 3 meaningful cues customers care about. For example, picked up, in transit, and out for delivery. Make them consistent and timely. Lesson 2. Automate whenever possible. Use simple tools to send updates. Templated texts, brief emails, or a web page that shows the current step. Even manual updates work if they are timely and consistent. Lesson 3. Align visibility with accountability. If you show a status, attach responsibility. Who owns the item at this step, and what happens if it misses the window? Customers feel safer when they know who to contact. How to apply principle to cheaply use free messaging apps or basic SMS services to push updates. Keep status messages human and clear. Name the person or team, not an internal code. Create a simple web page or social feed that shows daily operations or common questions. Principle 3. Optimize for flow, not individual tasks. Reduce handoffs and delays. Explanation: FedEx Express designed a hub and spoke system to minimize delays. Shipments move to a central hub, get sorted en masse, then head out. The key idea is optimizing the continuous flow of packages rather than optimizing isolated tasks. In other words, the whole system's throughput matters more than the speed of any single person or truck. Why this matters for small organizations. When you start small, handoffs between people or systems create friction. Each handoff risks miscommunication, delay, or error. Optimizing flow means arranging work so that fewer handoffs occur, or when they must occur, they are standardized and nearly automatic. 3 common mistakes companies make. Mistake 1. Measuring the wrong thing. Teams often measure task completion, how many calls were answered, rather than flow, how long a customer waits end to end. This can produce local efficiency improvements that slow the overall process. Mistake 2. Adding more people instead of fixing bottlenecks. Hiring more staff for overloaded steps without examining upstream or downstream constraints simply increases complexity and cost. Mistake 3. Allowing frequent context switching. When people or systems juggle too many different tasks, efficiency collapses. Each switch costs time and attention, slowing flow. Lessons learned and practical steps. Lesson 1. Map end-to-end time and identify the bottleneck. Measure how long a customer journey takes from start to finish. The longest step, or the step that blocks many others, is your bottleneck. Fix it first. Lesson 2. Reduce handoffs by bundling work. Where possible, let one person or a small team carry a task through multiple steps. This reduces coordination overhead and errors. Lesson 3. Standardize handoffs that remain. Create simple templates, checklists, or short scripts for necessary handoffs, so information does not degrade across transitions. How to apply Principle 3 on a shoestring. Use a whiteboard or a simple spreadsheet to map process flow and timing. Time a few real customer journeys and find the longest delays. Experiment with small changes. A new checklist, a combined role, or a fixed pickup window, then measure improvements. Short case vignette. A local courier that copied FedEx, thinking a small courier in a mid-sized city decided to promise door-to-door pickups before noon and same-day local delivery. At first, they failed often. They then made 3 changes inspired by FedEx thinking. They narrowed their service area, introduced a single predictable pickup window, and used simple SMS updates as status cues. Within weeks, reliability improved, customer complaints dropped, and word-of-mouth referrals grew. The important move was shrinking scope so systems could flow consistently. Part 1. Quick Toolkit. 3 small exercises you can do today. Exercise 1. Write your one-sentence promise. Write the one sentence that defines the job your idea does and when it will do it. Share it with a friend and ask them whether they would pay for it. Exercise 2. Map one customer journey. Take a sample transaction and list every step from first contact to completion. Circle handoffs and note how long each step takes. Exercise 3. Pick 2 visible cues. Choose 2 simple status messages you can provide and decide how you will deliver them. SMS, email, or a phone call. And who will send them. Conclusion of Part 1. FedEx Express teaches a deceptively simple lesson. When you design around a clear promise and build systems that make that promise visible and reliable, you create trust. At trust scales. For people with limited resources, the pathway is straightforward. Pick a narrow, measurable promise, make it visible, and design flow that minimizes handoffs. If you found this useful, subscribe to my YouTube channel for parts 2 and 3, where we will cover the remaining 5 principles: redundancy and resilience, modular process design, data-driven feedback loops, pricing for predictability, and evolutionary product changes that protect customer investments. Hit subscribe and let us build ideas people can truly depend on. Part 2. Redundancy, modularity, and data. Turning operational strength into everyday opportunity. Picture a late-night storm that shuts a bridge and strands a van with urgent parcels. The packages still arrive. How? Not because of luck, but because the system was built to survive surprises. In this part, we dig into the next 3 FedEx Express lessons you can copy. Build redundancy, make complexity modular, and use data as your compass. These ideas are powerful whether you are starting a tiny side hustle from home or sketching a local service that must be dependable. Who this part is for. This section continues the training for entrepreneurs who want practical, repeatable methods, people who are unemployed or underemployed and need low-risk ways to launch, those on social support seeking reliable income ideas. We assume you read Part 1 or have a grasp of the first 3 principles. Make a narrow promise, show visible cues, and optimize flow. Now we add resilience, tractability, and measurement. Overview of the 3 principles covered here. Principle 4. Design redundancy so one failure does not break the promise. Principle 5. Turn operational complexity into modular, learnable pieces. Principle 6. Use data to close feedback loops and measure the few things that matter. We will explain each principle, list common mistakes to avoid, and give practical lessons and low-cost steps you can take immediately. Throughout, we compare FedEx Express to other models so the lessons stay concrete and actionable. Principle for design redundancy. So a single failure does not break the promise. Explanation. FedEx Express rarely relies on a single plane, van, or person to keep a time-defined I promise. The company builds layers, alternate routes, extra personnel for peak periods, backup facilities, and contractual partners. Redundancy is not waste. It is insurance that keeps promises consistent when reality diverges from plans. For small operations, redundancy looks different, but follows the same logic. It is the deliberate addition of fallback options so that when one element fails, customers still get the outcome you promised. Why redundancy matters for low-resource founders. When you are small, a single missed task can destroy reputation. Redundancy protects credibility, which is often your most valuable asset. Thoughtful redundancy lets you scale trust even before you scale revenue. 3 common mistakes companies make. Mistake 1. Confusing redundancy with excess cost. Small teams fear redundancy because it seems like paying twice. They add expensive backup capacity without analyzing where the real risks are. The result is wasted money and no improvement in reliability. Mistake 2. Adding identical backups. Some businesses had the same weak supplier as a backup. If the supplier fails for a common cause, both primary and backup fail together. Redundancy must diversify risk, not duplicate it. Mistake 3. Hiding redundancy from customers. Companies sometimes build secret backups that kick in without notifying customers. When customers later discover the hidden complexity, they may be confused or mistrustful. Transparency about fallbacks reassures customers. Lessons learned, practical steps. Lesson 1. Identify the single point of failure. Make a short list. Which one person, supplier, or piece of equipment, if it failed, would stop you keeping your promise? That is your priority for redundancy. Lesson 2. Use low-cost, diverse backups. Design backups that differ from the primary option. Examples. If a single courier covers deliveries, contract a local taxi service as a different transport mode. If you rely on one supplier for packaging, have a nearby market for temporary substitutes. If your payment system is online, allow cash-on delivery for local customers. Lesson 3. Communicate backup plans clearly. Tell customers what will happen if a step fails. Phrases like, "If we cannot deliver by the promised time, we will call and offer a same-day pickup or a refund," make your reliability tangible. How to apply Principle 4 cheaply. Step 1. Draw a failure map. List critical steps and ask, what if this fails? For each failure, write one low-cost backup. Step 2. Negotiate tiny contingency deals. Talk to small local partners and set informal backup arrangements that require no monthly fee. For example, a friendly florist or taxi driver who will help on an as-needed basis. Step 3. Practice the fallback. Run a simulated failure and exercise your backup so people know how to act. The rehearsal costs time, but saves reputation. Comparison with other companies versus gig platforms that rely on a large pool of anonymous contractors. Gig platforms often depend on quantity. Many independent drivers increase the odds someone will accept a job. FedEx's redundancy is purposeful and diverse. Different vehicle types, scheduled backups, and geographic dispersal. For a local micro-business, purposeful redundancy is more reliable than hoping the crowd will bail you out. Versus companies that insure financially, but not operationally. Buying insurance pays for losses after the fact. Redundancy prevents failures from happening in the first place. For reputation-sensitive services, preventing failure is worth more than cash compensation later. Short vignette. A craft seller who built resilience. A home-based artisan sold handmade goods online with next-day local delivery. Initially, a single delivery driver handled all runs and sometimes failed to show. The seller then arranged 3 low-cost measures. A second driver on call, a nearby pickup point where customers could collect late orders, and a policy that automatically sent a discount code if delivery missed the promise. The combination of diverse backups and a small customer-facing concession preserved trust and reduced complaints. Principle 5. Turn operational complexity into modular, learnable pieces. Explanation. FedEx Express manages massive complexity by decomposing its work into standard modules. Pickup, labeling, sorting, scanning, transport, customs clearance, and final delivery. Each module has clear inputs, outputs, and rules. Technicians and managers learn modules quickly because they repeat predictable patterns. This modular approach speeds training, reduces errors, and allows incremental improvement. For an entrepreneur, modularity means designing your service so new team members or partners can take over a module without needing full system knowledge. Why modularity matters for small teams. You will often hire temporary help, enlist partners, or delegate tasks to family members. Modularity reduces the overhead of training and supervision. It also makes it easier to automate or outsource specific pieces as your idea grows. 3 common mistakes companies make. Mistake 1. Treating everything as unique work. Some businesses pride themselves on bespoke processes for each customer. That flexibility sounds attractive, but it makes scaling and consistent quality impossible. Mistake 2. Using complex, undocumented procedures. When procedures live only in someone's head, mistakes proliferate. This creates fragile dependencies on specific people. Mistake 3. Ignoring the interfaces between modules. Even clear modules can fail if the handoffs are messy. Not specifying what information must pass between modules is a frequent source of errors. Lessons learned and practical steps. Lesson 1. Define modules and their contracts. Write short descriptions for each module. Who does it? What inputs it needs? What outputs it produces? And how quality is checked. Lesson 2. Create simple tools and checklists. A one-page checklist or a short template can encode the module's rules. These artifacts make training faster and reduce errors. Lesson 3. Keep interfaces minimal and standardize. Decide on a small number of data points or signals that pass between modules. For example, a delivery module needs package 499, destination, and customer contact, nothing else. How to apply Principle 5 with little or no budget. Step 1. Take a single customer journey and split it into 3 to 5 modules. For example, order intake, preparation, delivery, and aftercare. Step 2. Draft a one-page checklist for each module. Include only the essentials, 3 to 5 action items, plus 1 quality check. Step 3. Teach someone the module in 15 to 30 minutes. If they can execute the checklist and pass a quick quality test, the module design works. Comparison with other models versus artisan workshops that insist on full ownership of the craft. Some craftspeople resist modularization because they fear losing quality. FedEx shows that modular processes can preserve and even amplify quality by making consistent execution more likely. versus software platforms that hide processes behind opaque algorithms. Platforms sometimes obscure what happens operationally. 4. Customer-facing trust. Modular transparency. Simple steps a customer can understand often beats mystique. Short vignette. A home bakery that standardized success. A small bakery faced inconsistent orders and burnt loaves. The owner broke production into modules: dough prep, shaping, baking, and packing. Short checklists and a fixed baking schedule turned chaos into calm. When a helper covered a shift, the output stayed consistent and customer compliments rose. Principle 6. Use data to close feedback loops and measure the few things that matter. Explanation: FedEx Express runs on measured processes. On-time rates, load factors, scan times, and exception reports. But the company does not measure everything. It focuses on a handful of indicators that clearly relate to customer outcomes. Data becomes the language for continuous improvement. For small ventures, the goal is not to build complex analytics, but to track a few meaningful metrics that help you learn faster and prevent repeated mistakes. Why focused measurement matters for early-stage ideas. When resources are scarce, wind effort wastes time. Measuring the right things lets you identify what actually moves performance. Metrics also make trade-offs visible. For example, faster delivery might increase cost. Numbers help you decide. 3 common mistakes companies make. Mistake 1. Measuring vanity metrics, counting likes, page views, or tasks completed without linking them to customer outcomes produces optimistic illusions of progress. Mistake 2. Tracking too many metrics. When every number is important, teams freeze. Focus is lost and decisions slow. Mistake 3. Ignoring the context behind numbers. Numbers without stories mislead. A rise in complaints could be due to higher volume, new customer segments, or a broken module. Data must be interpreted. Lessons learned and practical steps. Lesson 1. Pick 3 metrics that predict your promise. Choose indicators that map directly to the customer promise. If you promise next-day delivery, measure on-time delivery rate, average pickup to delivery time, and number of exception events per 100 deliveries. Lesson 2. Measure simply and repeatedly. Use simple tools: a shared spreadsheet, a checklist tally, or a basic form to collect data each day. Consistency beats sophistication. Lesson 3. Combine quantitative and qualitative feedback. Pair numbers with short customer notes or frontline observations. The combination reveals root causes and practical fixes. How to apply Principle 6 cheaply. Step 1. List hypotheses you want to test. For example, reducing packing time by 5 minutes will improve on-time delivery. Then pick the metric to validate it. Step 2. Track daily or weekly and visualize changes. A simple line chart in a spreadsheet reveals trends. Small improvements compound. Step 3. Hold short review sessions. Spend 15 to 30 minutes weekly reviewing metrics with your team or a friend. Decide on one action to try the following week. Comparison with other approaches versus companies that worship big data and complex dashboards. Big data is powerful when you have scale. For micro ventures, focused, timely metrics are more actionable. FedEx uses sophisticated systems, but at the team level, the work is still measure a few things, fix a bottleneck, repeat, versus intuition-only decision-making. Some small founders rely on gut instinct alone. Data does not replace judgment, but sharpens it. A measurement habit turns guesses into experiments. Short vignette. A local laundry service that learned from numbers. A small laundry service promised 2-day turnaround. Complaints rose, but the owner was unsure why. After tracking 3 simple metrics, average wash-to-pack time, number of lost items, and pickups missed, the owner discovered that pickups clustered on one weekday, causing overload. Adjusting pickup slots and adding a single temporary worker on that day returned turnaround to target and reduced complaints. Putting principles 4 through 6 together, a compact example. Imagine a neighborhood courier business that promises same-day local delivery before 6 in the evening. Apply the 3 principles. Redundancy. Identify that a single driver absence would break the promise. Arrange a backup driver pool of 2 people with different transport modes and a local taxi on standby for emergencies. Communicate this plan to customers in the terms and conditions. Modularity. Break work into modules. Order intake, package pick, package route sorting, and final delivery. Create a 1-page checklist for each module and a simple handoff sheet that includes package 499 and contact number. Data. Track 3 metrics daily. Percentage of deliveries meeting the 6 o'clock promise, number of exceptions, and median pickup to delivery time. Review weekly and fix the bottleneck found in the data. This integrated approach is cheap to start and grows your reputation as reliability compounds into referrals. Practical exercises you can do today. Exercise 1. Failure and backup brainstorm. Take one promise you make and write down the 3 most likely failures. For each failure, list 1 low-cost, diverse backup. Share with a friend and refine. Exercise 2. Modularize a single task. Choose one repeatable customer task and write a 1-page checklist that someone else could follow after a 15-minute briefing. Exercise 3. Choose your 3 metrics. Write down 3 metrics that predict your promise. Start a shared spreadsheet and record them for 2 weeks. Note trends and 1 action you will take based on what you see. Common questions and short answers. Question: I cannot afford backups. What then? Answer: redundancy can be social, not financial. Build informal agreements with peers and community partners that can act as temporary backups. Offer a reciprocal arrangement. Question: my service is creative and bespoke. How do I modularize? Answer: even bespoke services have repeatable subtasks: client intake, initial file preparation, quality check, and delivery. Make those subtasks consistent. Question: which metrics should I track first? Answer: track what directly affects the customer promise. If you promise speed, measure times. If you promise accuracy, measure error rates. Comparison roundup. FedEx versus 3 other archetypes. Archetype 1. The scale-first platform. Platforms rely on large user bases and algorithmic matching. Their redundancy is statistical. Many providers mean someone will accept a job. The risk is spotty quality. FedEx's approaches design redundancy and standardized modules to produce consistent outcomes, which is crucial for mission-critical promises. Archetype 2. The boutique crafts business. Boutiques prize uniqueness and often resist modularization. Their strength is bespoke value, but their scaling and reliability are limited. Borrowing FedEx tools, checklists, backups, and focused metrics improves reliability without destroying craft. Archetype 3. The heavily automated startup. Tech startups automate early. Automation works when volume justifies it. For micro-ventures, manual processes that are standardized and measured often outperform half-baked automation. FedEx automated where scale demanded it, but kept human oversight in critical points. Case Vignette, a micro-health supplies distributor. A community health worker started a small business delivering essential medical supplies to clinics. The service promised delivery within 24 hours for urgent items. The worker applied the 3 principles. Redundant sourcing. Established 2 suppliers for each critical item, 1 local and 1 regional. Modularity. Defined modules for order intake, verification, pickup, and clinic handoff, each with a 3-item checklist. Data. Track delivery timeliness, stockouts, and supplier lead time weekly. The business remained reliable through roadblocks and grew by referrals from clinics that valued dependability. Wrap-up of Part 2: Designing for Resilience, breaking complexity into teachable pieces and using focused data turns small, fragile operations into dependable services. These principles let you protect reputation, scale learning, and make predictable promises customers will trust. For people starting with little capital, the path is concrete. Map failure points, modularize repeatable work, and measure the few indicators that matter. A short preview of Part 3. In the next part, we will finish the series with the final principles. Pricing for predictability and value, evolutionary upgrades that respect customer investment, and the small design moves that convert reliability into a brand. We will also provide a compact workbook you can use to plan a new idea in 4 steps. If this part helped you, subscribe to my YouTube channel for Part 3 and hands-on templates. Hit subscribe so you do not miss the workbook and practical scripts you can use tomorrow. Part 3: Pricing, Evolution, and Turning Reliability into a Brand. Imagine customers who choose you first because they know you will not fail them, and then pay a little more because that certainty saves them time, worry, and hassle. In this final part, we cover the last principles. Price for predictability and value. Evolve in ways that protect your customers. Past investments and small design moves that turn steady operations into a memorable brand. These moves are practical for anyone starting from almost nothing. Who this part is for? This section is written for entrepreneurs launching or refining simple services, people who are unemployed or underemployed and want reliable micro-income, individuals on social support seeking sustainable, low-risk business ideas. We assume you worked through parts 1 and 2. You can make a narrow promise, show clear status cues, design flow and redundancy, modularize work, and measure a few meaningful metrics. How we convert those operational strengths into pricing, product evolution, and brand trust. Overview of the final principles. Principle 7. Price for predictability and value, not only for cost. Principle 8. Evolve offers in ways that preserve customer investments and trust. Final toolkit. Quick plays to make reliability visible and sellable. Principle 7. Price for predictability and value, not only for cost. Explanation. FedEx Express charges a premium for timely, time-definite delivery because customers value certainty. A customer who needs a critical document delivered on time pays to avoid missed deadlines and reputational damage. Pricing is not merely a calculation of cost plus margin. It is a translation of the value of the promise it has to terms customers understand and accept. Why this matters for small ventures. When you reliably deliver what you promise, you create a product that reduces customers' at-risk reduction has monetary value. Small providers often underprice because they compare only to low-cost providers rather than to the real cost of failure for customers. Pricing for value lets you earn enough to maintain redundancy, training, and measurement, the very elements that sustain reliability. 3 common mistakes companies make. Mistake 1. Competing only on price. Many new ventures try to win by being the cheapest. Cheap wins customers for one transaction, but rarely builds loyalty. When price is the only differentiator, service quality suffers because margins cannot fund reliability. Mistake 2. Failing to articulate the value. Some providers deliver reliably, but never explain why this reliability saves customers money or stress. Customers compare by sticker price and miss the hidden value you provide. Mistake 3. Offering blanket discounts that undermine margins. Generous, unfocused discounts attract price-sensitive customers who emphasize cost rather than reliability. Over time, this damages your ability to invest in systems that keep promises. Lessons learned and practical steps. Lesson 1. Translate reliability into customer outcomes. Put the benefit in customer language. Examples: on-time delivery that prevents missed bids or court filings. Same-day parts delivery, so your machine stays running. Guaranteed to data so you can schedule customers with confidence. Lesson 2. Offer simple, tiered pricing. Create 2 or 3 clear options. A basic low-cost option, a reliable standard option, your core promise, and a premium option with extras. The middle option should be the one you promote as the best value. Lesson 3. Use simple guarantees and incentives. A credible, easy-to-understand refund or redo policy reduces perceived risk and makes customers willing to pay more. For example, if we fail our promise, we refund the delivery fee and give a discount on your next order. How to apply principles 7. With little capital. Step 1. Ask customers what missed promises cost them. A short conversation or a simple survey reveals how much value customers place on reliability. Step 2. Test tiered pricing with a small group. Offer 3 price points to a pilot group and observe take-up and satisfaction. Adjust before wider rollout. Step 3. Keep guarantees honest and simple. Do not promise what you cannot deliver, but promise something narrow and keep it. Your guarantee is a marketing tool and a discipline for operations. Comparison with other pricing approaches versus hourly cost or cost-plus pricing. Cost-based pricing hides customer value. Price for value aligns your revenue with the difference you make in customers' lives. Versus freemium or ad-driven models. Free models can scale but often attract users who care little about reliability. For trust-based services, paying customers who value promises are a better foundation. Short vignette. A local clinic courier who charged for certainty. A small courier served medical clinics and initially charged a flat low fee. When clinics missed critical patient treatments because medicines arrived late, the courier introduced a guaranteed same-day medical tier at a modest premium. Clinics gladly paid because the premium protected patient care and saved staff time. A courier used those extra funds to hire backup drivers and improve tracking, reinforcing reliability and growing repeat business. Principle 8. Evolve offers in ways that preserve customer investments and trust. Explanation. FedEx Express evolved by adding new services, tracking, insurance options, international lanes, while preserving core behaviors customers relied on. Evolution is not a sequence of radical redesigns, but careful additions that respect customers' workflows, habits, and sunk investments. When your customers invest time, money, or data into using your product, abrupt changes can break trust. Why this matters for small entrepreneurs. Early customers are precious. They will tolerate imperfections if you improve without forcing them to relearn everything. Have evolution that protects customer investments, accelerates adoption, and reduces churn. 3 common mistakes companies make. Mistake 1. Forcing immediate migration to new systems, rolling out a new process overnight without a clear migration path frustrates customers and staff. Mistake 2. Prioritizing shiny features over compatibility. A glamorous new feature that requires customers to change habits often fails even if the core idea is strong. Mistake 3. Ignoring legacy customers when product strategy shifts. Focusing exclusively on new segments can abandon early adopters who helped validate your idea. Lessons learned and practical steps. Lesson 1. Communicate change early and clearly. Explain what will change, why, and how customers can continue with the old way for a transition period. Lesson 2. Provide migration paths and optionality. Offer phased rollouts, opt-in trials, or parallel systems so customers can switch when ready. Lesson 3. Collect and act on feedback during transition. Use simple surveys, frontline reports, and a small pilot group to refine changes before broad release. How to apply Principle 8 in micro ventures. Step 1. List customer investments. Act the ways customers have invested. Saved contacts, habitual ordering times, or specific packaging practices. Step 2. Design changes that preserve the most important investments. If customers track deliveries in a particular way, keep the data format or provide an export they can reuse. Step 3. Offer incentives for early migration. Give small discounts or priority handling to customers who help you pilot new features. Comparison with other evolution strategies versus disruptive redesigns that seek to obliterate legacy systems. Disruption can work at scale but often alienates customers. For small operations, evolutionary change wins because it reduces friction and preserves trust. Versus continuous beta with frequent breaking changes. Beta testing without clear expectations frustrates paying customers. Communicate and manage expectations. Short vignette. A bookkeeping microservice at preserved client habits. A home-based bookkeeper introduced an automated invoicing tool. Instead of forcing clients to use it, she offered it as an optional add-on. Migrated one client at a time, and kept manual invoicing available for 3 months. Clients who valued automation switched gradually. The bookkeeper improved the tool from user feedback and eventually established a reliable upsell. Final toolkit for practical plays to convert reliability into growth. Play 1. Sell a narrow guarantee. A simple guarantee that ties directly to your promise reduces buyer hesitation and differentiates you from cheap competitors. Play 2. Package predictability as a subscription. If customers repeatedly pay for reliability, offer a subscription that smooths revenue and deepens relationships. Play 3. Make onboarding frictionless. Design a one-step onboarding check that gets customers to the first success quickly. Early wins cement trust. Play 4. Tell the reliability story. Use short, human stories. Photo, a tiny testimonial, a before and after, to explain how your service saves real people time and stress. Work plan your idea in 4 steps. Step 1. Define the promise. Write your one-sentence promise and the conditions under which you will keep it. Step 2. Map the flow. Find the bottleneck. List end-to-end steps and circle the most fragile points. Step 3. Add one redundancy and one visible queue. Pick a low-cost backup and choose a simple status message you will send customers. Step 4. Price and pilot. Decide on 2 price tiers, pick a small pilot group, and collect 3 key metrics for 2 weeks. Practical exercises you can do today. Exercise 1. Value conversation. Call a potential customer and ask, "What happens if this arrives late?" Note the real costs they mention. Use that insight to set price. Exercise 2. Transition plan. If you plan to add a new tool or feature, write a one-paragraph migration plan that preserves customers' current habits for at least a defined transition window. Exercise 3. Storytelling draft. Write 2 short lines that explain, in customer language, why your service reduces risk. Use this in your pitch or listing. A final comparison. FedEx Express and the small provider FedEx is famous for scale and engineering. Yet the core lessons are not scale-dependent. Promise clarity, visible cues, flow optimization, modular work, focused measurement, purposeful redundancy, value-based pricing, and respectful evolution. A small provider can apply each of these at human scale. The tactics differ, but the logic is the same. Make a narrow promise, design to keep it, and ask customers to pay for the certainty you provide. Closing thoughts. Building dependable services is not glamorous, but it is one of the fastest ways to create durable value. For people with limited capital or uncertain job prospects, dependability is a competitive advantage you can create through attention, simple processes, and predictable communication. Start small, measure, and protect reputation. It compounds into referrals, repeat customers, and steady income. If you want practical templates, checklists, and a downloadable workbook that follows these parts step by step, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Each subscriber helps me share more real-world scripts and templates you can use tomorrow. Hit subscribe, and let us build services people truly depend on.